Welcome to the audiobook Love Me One More Time, written by Tati H. Chapter 1. The Child is Your Mini Copy. Nick's POV.
Hey, Nick!
Will tapped my shoulder, grabbing my attention. He probably spotted another blonde with big breasts. I shook my head to release the tension in my neck, ignoring him, but he continued.
I just saw two kids who look exactly like you in one of the lounges.
He said excitedly. I pretended not to hear him. There is a big possibility that someone resembles me, but then what's the big deal, right?
The girl looks like a princess, and the boy was quite the charmer. They're like miniature versions of you. There was something special about the girl. She reminds me of someone, though I can't quite place who at the moment.
He said, and shaking his head.
And the boy is like a mini version of you. He's always frowning like you.
I looked at him confusingly, slightly puzzled about what he was saying.
Yeah, just like that.
He pointed at my forehead, and I felt compelled to change my expression. Where are they? I asked, but not exactly sure why I was asking. Before I realized it, the question was out. Will started walking towards one of the airport's waiting lounges, and it was as if my feet had their own choice because I followed him.
They were right there.
He pointed to a now empty row of seats. The gate attendant was already closing the boarding door for one of the flights.
Seems they already left.
He ran a hand through his hair. I glanced back at the empty lounge, feeling an inexplicable desire to see those kids. Let's go. We need to be in Los Angeles in half an hour, I said, feeling a strange sensation. I turned to address our return flight issue. I need the plane to take off in less than half an hour, I ordered, checking the time on my wristwatch. The delay in my trip irritates me.
I apologize for the inconvenience, Mr. Garnett.
The woman behind the counter said kindly, looking embarrassed. I waited for her to speak, anticipating bad news, and massaged my temple.
Your plane cannot take off apparently. There has been a mechanical issue that needs to be inspected before the flight can be authorized. The inspection will take a few days. You can speak with your pilot, he's on his way.
I exhaled in frustration. A few minutes later, my pilot arrived and confirmed what the woman just told me. He also informed me that we'd been placed on a flight leaving for Los Angeles in half an hour. In first class, of course. After spending the next 30 minutes organizing some details for the proposal we'll present to our new and exclusive client, we were called to board the plane. We entered and had to walk through the economy class section. My ears were assaulted by the cries of a couple of children, and I grimaced, eager to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Adorable.
You know perfectly well that I don't like kids, I grumbled, and continued to our seats in first class.
I know, I just feed off your reaction every time there's one nearby. But it was a bit odd how interested you were in seeing the kids I mentioned earlier.
He said with a grin. I don't even know why I followed you. It's ridiculous. I settled into the comfortable seat, exhaling and feeling relaxed as the silence enveloped me. An hour later, despite the setbacks, we landed in LA. I just wanted to get home and take a relaxing bath before heading to the office. Tomorrow we have an important meeting that will mark the before and after for the company. A deal with this client guarantees our company will be recognized worldwide, something my grandfather and I have worked on for years. I arrived home. Will has gone to his apartment before heading to the office. He's my cousin, almost like a brother. We grew up together, went to the same university, and his father, my uncle, is a partner in the company. But it's Will who represents him. Good afternoon, Marshall. I greeted the man in charge of our house. He's an older and trustworthy man who refuses to retire despite being old enough to do so. His wife also works for us. She's an excellent chef.
Good afternoon, Nick. Welcome.
He stepped aside to let me pass. Another worker took care of my luggage as I headed straight to my room. I took a bath and got ready to go to the office. I needed to meet with my grandfather. He insisted on a meeting, so today he'll have 10 minutes of my time. Once I was ready, I left my room. I was planning to grab a quick lunch, but before I could go downstairs, I heard my dogs barking, which was unusual since they usually stayed at the country house. I went down to see them barking at Barbie, my wife.
Stop!
Barbie yelled, frozen in place while Marshall held the dogs back to prevent them from lunging at her.
Oh, damn dogs! What are they doing in my house, Nick?
She placed her hands on her hips. I don't know. Marshall? I asked Marshall as my 2 Siberian Huskies, Beast and Cupcake, started wagging their tails, shifting their attention from Barbie to me.
The renovations at the country house have started, sir. The staff went on vacation because of that, so they brought the dogs before leaving.
And why wasn't I informed of this? I spat angrily, as they shouldn't leave without my permission.
I did inform you, sir. Unfortunately, the staff's vacation schedule isn't something you usually pay attention to.
I looked up to see Marshall, who gazed at me calmly. I'm sure he must have told me at some point, but I didn't give it any importance. Fine. Hire someone to take care of them while they're here, and keep them away from Barbara for obvious reasons, I ordered as I approached the dogs and greeted them.
Are they staying here? You know perfectly well that these dogs hate me.
She pointed at them in annoyance. You don't like them either, I pointed out, standing up.
Just keep those fur balls away from me.
She snapped, walking towards the stairs, but before going up, she stopped halfway up the stairs.
I'm leaving for Europe tonight. I'll be back in a week.
Then she continued to go to our room. I left the house after and drove to my office. When I arrived, I listened to my assistant as she gave me a full report of what happened while I was away. Thank you. You can go, I said to Kathy as soon as she finished. She stood up and walked out of my office.
Nick.
My grandfather entered. My relationship with him isn't what one would expect between a grandfather and grandson. We've never gotten along well. My mother and the company are what keep us in contact. Grandfather? I straightened up in my seat and clasped my hands on my lap.
I just found out about the meeting with what could be the most important client in the history of Garnet Morgan & Co. I'm surprised it wasn't you who told me.
He seemed annoyed. There's always someone to inform you of what's happening here. I don't need to lift a finger for you to find out. I looked at him with no emotion.
You're an insolent boy. You know I like that. A worthy representative of our family. This weekend is your mother's birthday. Make sure you're there. For some reason, she loves having her arrogant son at home. It'll make her happy.
He said the last word in disdain. I made an annoying gesture with my mouth. You know perfectly well what would make my mother happy, but you decided to deny her that. Don't try to make me believe you care about her happiness, I said acidly, hearing him laugh.
That ball is in your court now, son.
I moved my neck to release the tension.
It's up to you to take care of that, but it's clear you haven't called your shots,
he said, mocking me.
Make sure everything is ready for tomorrow's meeting. Get your cousin there on time. You know, punctuality isn't his strong suit, especially when he's tangled up with some skirt. Which isn't bad, but he needs to be on time. This is an important meeting.
Those were his last words before leaving me. The next day, I waited for Will at the entrance of the building where we'll have the meeting. I asked him to arrive 30 minutes early, but as usual, he was 10 minutes late. Fortunately, I made sure we had 20 minutes to get in, which was enough. I saw him adjusting his tie as he walked toward me.
Shall we?
He asked, looking relaxed, and entered the room before me. I swallowed my complaints and just followed him. After passing through 3 security checkpoints, we continued our way. We arrived at a large meeting room where we could already see several people, whom we greeted. We still have time before the meeting starts, but then my phone rang. It was my mother. Mother, I greeted, looking out the window at the trees and some birds.
I imagine your grandfather has already told you that I'm having a celebration for my birthday next weekend. You don't need to tell me that you can't miss it. I called Caitlin and had her cancel her trip to the Middle East to be here.
She seriously said. I could imagine my sister being very upset about having to cancel her trip. I exhaled, not looking forward to my mother's gatherings with her unbearable friends. Fine, Mother. I'll be there, though Barbara won't. She's leaving for Europe tonight.
Of course she'll be there, dear. I've already spoken to her. Your wife will be here for my birthday.
Just then, I heard several people entering the meeting room. I turned and saw the minister. Next to him was her. I let my hand drop, ignoring whatever my mother was saying on the other end of the line. I watched her walk in, dressed in a fitted black suit with her hair perfectly styled and wearing jewelry that could cost as much as one of my apartments. I closed my eyes and shook my head, thinking it was a figment of my imagination. I opened them again to find her smiling kindly at the minister's companions. Is this real?
That girl reminds me of...
Will stared at her intently. So it was real. She was here.
Garnet.
The minister approached. I walked towards him without taking my eyes off the woman beside him, who disturbed me as she showed no emotion upon seeing me, making me think that she might be someone else and that I was mistaken. However, the resemblance was uncanny. The minister greeted me. I tried to follow the conversation, but it was impossible. The only woman present has all my attention. He begins to introduce the people in the room, his companions, until we reach her.
Garnet, this is Elia Russell, a representative of T-World, an important American telecommunications company headquartered in the UK.
Elia. It was the same name, but her surname was different.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr.
Garnet, I clarified, taking her hand and looking into her eyes. Those eyes were and weren't those of the girl that I once left behind.
We can start.
The minister asked us to sit. Elia raised her hand from my grip and walked to sit in one of the chairs at the table, next to a young man accompanying her, completely ignoring my presence. The minister began to speak. My eyes drifted toward her. Every gesture and gaze that she makes confirms my hunch. But then she was far from the girl I once knew. She seemed like someone entirely different, who had decided to pretend she didn't know me.